My cell phone is locked up in my office. I do not access it during class time. Ever.
So obviously you can use your phone to contact significant other, loved ones, family, friends, and so on and so forth. For personal reasons, right? These things are smartphones. You can use them for personal reasons, taking photos and so on and so forth. Professionally, Wolfram Alpha is a great tool. You guys can look things up if we don't know something in class, and so on and so forth. You guys can take videos of me, right? You always say you can take videos of me teaching. You can take photos of the board.
It's no different, and I think that's where teachers need to pedagogically understand that what we do in our spare time. And I'm going to make no bones about it. If my students are on social media, then I'm on social media. If they have an Instagram account, I have an Instagram account. If they're Facebooking, then I will Facebook too. I think there doesn't seem to be a fine line. The only fine line that I draw, however, is again about social responsibility and maturity. So I think as a teacher, I believe fundamentally that we need to teach the skills of when it's appropriate. So I think I made mention of when it's appropriate to be surfing for unsavory material or material that might be rendered controversial. I think within a classroom situation, it's more along the lines of understanding the ways in which you are socially perceived when you use a certain social media, when you post something.
The similarities are that I do research. So for my job, I'm always researching, particularly in the social sciences. You're always trying to get more current things. So new, for example, I teach grade 12 law, so I'm always researching the most current changes in charter applications and legal cases and things like that. So, but I also do a lot of research for myself personally, things that I want to know about health, about whatever. So I think that the research component is the same. What's different, I think, is probably the social aspect. I do allow my students to have my email address, but how I use email in my personal life is for connecting and to arrange getting together. So that would be different.
I can't. Actually, I use net support on the computer system so that I can stop somebody if they're screwing around in my lab. I lock them out of net support.
Ooh, that's kind of tough, So the biggest distraction, as probably we all know, are phones and texting. I have taken away phones. I have reminded people, for example, during the national anthem, no phones, put them down, out of sight. So strategies, I feel like I haven't quite figured that out, to be honest. So you look around a class and whether kids are texting under their desk or on their desk, it's how much of a police person you really want to be, and it depends on your energy level. And it's hard because when you look around, even adult meetings, I hear it's the exact same thing in the private sector, that what they do in adult meetings, like my friend works at Manulife, she was saying they have a boardroom where they disable the Wi-Fi. So it sends a signal to people that, we don't want you on your phones. So, maybe if we had something like that here, where there was some magic switch on the wall where we could switch it on and off, that would be amazing. But since we don't, I think it's a problem definitely in high school. I'm sure in university college, but even with adults. So I don't know, I don't really have the right answer. I don't know what the strategy is when my own generation has the same issue, really, if that makes sense. Even, when you go out for dinner, people have their cell phones right on the table, right? So I don't know the strategy,
I don't. I mean, you guys are old enough to know that if you're using that stuff for other things, you're not getting the curriculum. If I see someone using technology inappropriately, I'll say, listen, man, this is not appropriate for this. But we're all smart enough to know that if we're using technology to make a phone call or text message, we're not learning.
I think generally, our job as teachers is to not just try to cram in content into, young minds, but also to teach them self-awareness and self-management skills, because that's also what leads to success. You can have a lot of information, but if you don't have the discipline to know how to move forward with it or what to do with it, then you're at a disadvantage. And I think the self-discipline is always something that I try to talk about with my students. And admittedly, I struggle with it too. I can't have my cell phone in the classroom because it will call me. I will hear a buzz and I will feel a compulsion to check. But I can't do that because it would distract me from my purpose in the classroom. So, I also use personal examples. That it's hard for me too. But it's hard, that's it. I don't know what else. I would say I'm one of those teachers that takes the cell phone away. I do offer for people to put their cell phone on my desk, and a lot of students do that too if I offer it to them, but I'm not one of those teachers that will go and actually take a cell phone. I probably shouldn't be advertising that.
So I would, being a less techie person, I would say yes. I would say in the class it does hurt your ability to learn, and I would bet that at home it's a huge distraction too. I don't think homework has increased from, over 10 years, increased from 1 hour a night to 5 hours. I think it just takes kids longer because they have all of these instant distractions to kind of muddle through. So do I think, really, I guess the question is, does technology hurt or help, right? I hate to tell you this, I think it hurts more than helps. Yeah. I know that's not the right teacher answer, but I think, we don't really look at sources anymore. Anything online we tend to believe. We want instant gratification, whether it's likes on Facebook or Instagram. I don't think that's really feeding a great message. And I just wonder, where the days went where we could maybe just be in the moment and listen to a debate that's going on, or listen to a lesson, or daydream, right? Now there's none of that. It's multitasking, but maybe with things that aren't as valuable, I feel. But I'm 42, so I grew up without even having an email account. And I grew up kind of waiting to use the phone in my house, so it's changed a lot.
Hurts? False.
I think I'm going to reiterate my point that I think it's how it's used. If it's distracting in the classroom, yeah, I do think it hurts their learning. But if they're using it for education purposes, then I think it's a great tool because it gives them the opportunity to develop questions and answer their own questions, which is so integral to learning. It's not just being a passive receptacle of information, but thinking, constantly thinking and wondering and being curious, and then also trying to figure out how do I answer my own questions. That is the model student, right? So, and technology often allows them to do that if it's used appropriately.
Well, for a correspondence class, for sure, absolutely. You can hand things in, you have forums, you can comment on other people's posts. I think for correspondence or university college courses, that is absolutely true. I think at the high school level though, that's only true if you are that kid who is a self-starter and you like technology. And I'm not sure in high school if everybody's figured out if they're a self-starter. Do you know what I mean by a self-starter? Yeah. Like a go-getter. So what happens to the kids that aren't go-getters? I think for those kids, this communication is way better than this communication, I think. But if you're one of those kids who can do all of it and you're already really engaged, it's probably amazing for you because you don't have to wait for that class time to ask the question. But for the kids who are struggling or maybe not 2 feet into the course, I think there's nothing like face-to-face. My 2 cents. Yeah.
True.
I think so. For me, it has. If students are away for a period of time, I encourage them to email me, and I can often kind of remove some of the anxiety, particularly in grade 12. If they're away for a long period of time, maybe they've gotten sick, they have a family situation, it allows me to let them know what's happening, and I think they feel less nervous, but they also fall far less behind, which is really important. So I think it's been helpful, and I also think it's been helpful with parents. I love the fact that parents and teachers can email each other, because obviously the phone is an issue. We're not, teachers aren't around a phone, and there's a lot of phone tag that happens, which is frustrating. So for both parents and teachers. So I think that having email contact also with parents has been integral. And again, my website is available for parents as well. I think it's helpful.
Yes, I agree. Years ago, we used to have certain sites blocked even, which I know sounds kind of Big Brother, but Facebook, you couldn't get on Facebook, and I don't know, a multitude of other sites, I can't remember. And now I'm not sure if those same preventative measures are in place. I don't think they are, to be honest. Not sure why they aren't. Maybe there's just so much bureaucracy, we've lost sight. I don't actually know why. But yes, I would agree we have lost the battle. Unless you want to be that policeman or policewoman during your 75-minute class and come out, feeling like a Grinch. I think, yes, I feel like we have lost.
False.
I'd have to say that I think in part it's true. I think that, again, because it's very difficult to battle the call of the cell phone, and there can be many reasons why that cell phone is going off. How do I take a cell phone from a student when it's their parent that's calling them? I can't really do that. And so it's a bit of a battle in that sense too. I think sometimes parents forget that if you're contacting your child during the day when they are in class, that it's very difficult for them to resist responding until lunch or until after school or between classes. So that's one aspect, and so we don't really have control over that. The other thing is that what teachers would want for the classroom, we can't, just because of budget reasons. We just simply, the budget isn't there to improve the network connection. Just on Friday I had a video playing that stopped halfway through because the streaming just stopped. Those types of things. So I think that in terms of control, meaning do we also get to decide what kind of things that we have in our classroom? I don't know that we have that much power, but it really comes down to money. These things are not cheap. So we're at a very interesting stage of education and technology together. I'm sure, in the future, what are we going to have? Every student will have a laptop for sure. That's just the way it's going. But we're in kind of that uncomfortable stage right now where the curriculum necessitates it. We need it, but there just isn't right now. But it will come. Just like we started with overhead machines. When we started teaching, right? It will happen.